What's up, y'all? This is your boy Eddie Jackson. Welcome back to the Drop That Podcast. Before we get started with wrestling talk, this episode is brought to you by Laidback TV, okay? They keep the lights on up in here, man. They pay all the bills, all right? It's over 10,000 channels, movies on demand, every sports channel. All the HBOs that you could think of, 1, 2, Signature, Family, so on. You know what I'm saying? You can also get it on your iPhones, on your Apple Store, and your Androids on your your Play Store, and you can have it at home on your Fire Sticks. Okay, check them out on laidbacktv.com for all the information that's needed. If you need any certain particular questions that need to be answered, check them out on their Instagram on official_laidbacktv. Okay, that's official_laidbacktv. Now let's get into some wrestling talk, why don't we? Whoa! Holy shit. So, yes, I'm sorry. I had to digest this for a whole weekend and some change. Everybody was jumping on the hype, at the spur of the moment and so forth. But yes, let's speak on it. 10 years change. AJ Lee, the return. She's here. The pioneer. You know what I'm saying? She returned last Friday on Smackdown in the aid of her husband, CM Punk, to let Becky Lynch know what's up. You know what I'm saying? Don't put your hands on her man. You know what I mean? Slap the dog shit out of her. You know what I'm saying? Which, I guess she accomplished everything. You know, she went on Monday Night Raw and spoke. Accomplished everything that she needed to in WWE at the time. You know, all her specific goals. Also, you know, conquered out goals outside of the ring, you know, that she needed. Got her mental health on point. Shout out to therapy. You know what I mean? I've been in therapy. I am in therapy. So shout out to some fucking therapy. You know what I'm saying? You don't need no biased people giving you advice and shit, where you can actually have somebody who don't know you that can then digest the issue at hand to find a satisfactory conclusion to your problem. So shout out to AJ Lee. I'm glad it worked out for you. But it was a hype, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people compared it to the 2023 return of CM Punk to the company of WWE. And, you know, she was Divas champion. She paid the way. You know, she opened the doors for, like, superstars such as Paige and so forth. You know, and it's been 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I think anybody who returns to the company, this is actually a perfect setup for you to be in the company now. You know what I'm saying? A perfect setup. You know, it's TKO owning it. Contracts are probably definitely better. You know, merchandise contracts are probably better. Schedules out the year is probably better. You know what I'm saying? She reunites with her husband on camera. You know, she got to reunite with, like, her wrestling child and Roxanne Perez. And it kind of fucked up, yo. AJ returns, but we don't have Cora Jade, you know what I'm saying, part of it at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because that was the complete wrestling kids of CM Punk and AJ Lee. So, kind of fucked up. But, you know, we got it. And a lot of dream matches could come out of this, you know what I'm saying? AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch, versus Rhea Ripley, versus Naomi, versus Io Sky, versus Bianca Belair, versus Jade Cargill, versus Tiffany Stratton, and the list goes on. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention, there are a lot more opportunities for AJ to be in part of the company now. You know what I'm saying? You know, when she left, here's the things that, you know, weren't a part of WWE at the time that she left. You know what I'm saying? Like, for an example, let me see. How do it is? She was 10 years, so it was WrestleMania 31, 32. Females in the main event of WrestleMania wasn't a thing. A women's Royal Rumble wasn't a thing. Let me see else. A women's Queen of the Ring wasn't a thing. Yeah, they have the women's championship and the women's world championship. That wasn't a thing. Women's Intercontinental Championship, Women's United States Championship, Women's Tag Team Championship, all wasn't a thing. Not to mention, if you go on NXT, right, We have the women's championship, obviously. We have the women's North American championship. None of that was a thing. A lot more goals that AJ Lee can accomplish. You know what I'm saying? I'm just stating the facts. You know, she can, a lot more goals that she can do. But we'll get to that. But before, let's get that. The reason why I brought up AJ Lee first, not because of just her return, because there's another AJ out there named AJ Styles who went this past Raw on a commercial break and went on a promo, you know, stating that, you know, he ain't got the backs of Gallows and Anderson. They're no longer with the company. Meechin is over there at Smackdown. He feels like there's someone who doesn't want him there, and it's a perfect seed to place because we don't know exactly what he means by that. You know what I'm saying? Who's this particular person? He said, come up with your own conclusion. Who's the particular person that don't want you there? It's a question mark. You know what I'm saying? I want to know, who the fuck could that be? Who the hell they don't? I mean, a lot of people would assume automatically it's Triple H, you know. But, you know, is this a seed to lead to another championship before he's done? Is this a seed to go to AAA? Is this a seed to go to TNA? You know what I'm saying? I mean, TNA is a part of WWE and a good partnership, and he was the face of TNA a lot of the time, you know, being X Division champion and world champion and so forth. So, I don't know. It's a little weird, but moving on when it comes down to AJ's, you know what I mean? Let's go, let's keep on with AJ Lee, and let's move to the subject of Wrestlepalooza, you know what I'm saying? Because that return updated our card. We got 4 matches now for Wrestlepalooza. You know what I'm saying? We brought up AJ Lee and CM Punk. That led to a mixed tag team match scheduled for Wrestlepalooza that's going down in Indianapolis on ESPN. Their debut on ESPN. It's CM Punk and AJ Lee taking on the World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins and the Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch. That's going to be interesting. I mean, AJ Lee completely looks great in shape. You know what I mean? She can. It looks like she can definitely go, but I would like to see how her in-ring ability is back on point. We got official. The Usos taking on Jay and Jimmy are back together, taking on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. That's a good match. I think it leads for Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed to be top contenders and probably in the tag team division. You know what I'm saying? I think we should put some tag team gold on them. We got it official now. We got John Cena coming back on his farewell. What's it called? His farewell tour. Yeah. He's got like I think about 5, maybe 6 dates left, but it's gonna be official. John Cena, Brock Lesnar getting in the ring one more time, and I'm kind of curious what they do with this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the losses are the losses, the wins are the wins on this farewell tour. Where does it lead? If John Cena beats Brock Lesnar, you know, yeah, we don't see Cena again until like Boston and Madison Square Garden dates and Survivor Series. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I forgot. Crown Jewel. That's going to go down in Perth next month. That's the next time we see Cena if he wins. What's the point on winning? And if Brock Lesnar wins, you could probably do a rematch in Perth. Why the hell not? It's going to be in a stadium. I believe so. Question mark, Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship. We were supposed to have a contract signing on Monday Night Raw, but it didn't happen. It's kind of weird because then we saw Stephanie Vaquer over at NXT because they're getting ready to do NXT Homecoming at Full Sail University. You know what I'm saying? The OG location. Because it's going to be Stephanie Vaquer, Tiffany Stratton, and Rhea Ripley taking on Fatal Influence. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I'm glad Stephanie appeared, and you know we still got that match. I think Stephanie deserves a moment. What we do with that is kind of a question mark. But not to mention we had LA Knight versus Bronson Reed, right? It's a little weird, you know what I mean? Because LA Knight is inserting himself into this situation with the Vision. You got Jimmy back. Jay's there, but Jay's starting to sound like Roman, apparently, to Jimmy. He's starting to get pissed off now. Maybe this is, some people say it's a heel turn, some people say it's an attitude turn. You know what I mean? Because that hyped up main event Jey Uso that comes into the crowd, making everybody yeet. Won the Intercontinental Championship and held it for 2 weeks. Won the Royal Rumble. Got his ass whooped, multiple times by Gunther during the course of the tour to WrestleMania. Able to pull off the upset and beat Gunther for the World Championship, but only to hold the World Championship for 2 months. And he's been crawling and crawling back to that title. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's a different direction that they're trying to go. But that direction ended up spearing LA Knight out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Which kind of caught everybody off guard, including his brother Jimmy. What's that lead to? I think there's going to be an issue. And I think that spear to LA Knight is definitely, possibly, I won't say definitely, but possibly going to cost the Usos that match at Wrestlepalooza. Just saying. And Judgment Day are actually gunning through a little friction. Dom is seeming distant. He's doing his little side little negotiations with El Grande Americano. Because Dom got a big event in Vegas, for AAA. AAA Worlds Collide, where he's going to be challenging for the Mega Championship. Dom could be walking out with 2 titles that night. Not to mention, his, he may be from San Diego, but now his new adopted home is Las Vegas, Nevada. So, what happened last time Dom was in Las Vegas? Give up. WrestleMania 41. He won the Intercontinental Championship. Just saying. But he's starting to get pissed off now with Judgment Day, and Roxanne is getting a little closer. She offered to talk to him. It's interesting, because what if they get too close? We're forgetting a certain person that was part of the Judgment Day that is healing from an injury. Goes by the name of Liv Morgan. So, we'll see where it goes from there. But, speaking of Wrestlepalooza, apparently they picked the same date as AEW All Out, which is interesting. You know what I'm saying? So on September 20th, it's going to be AEW All Out and WWE Wrestlepalooza. AEW All Out, they announced that was their date. They're going to Toronto. It's going to be on it's going to be their first pay-per-view that's going to be on their contract with HBO Max. So in order to, yes, if you have HBO Max, you're going to have to be separately charged for the pay-per-view for AEW All Out. Which is an interesting concept, because I don't think that many people are going to be, interested in that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the same reason why, if you notice, if you know the app DAZN, it's one thing that they didn't like with DAZN. DAZN was like charging nearly $100 when it first came out. And then they were charging a separate fee for pay-per-views. Same thing as ESPN with UFC. You buy ESPN subscription, but you're paying for the ESPN Plus pay-per-view separately. Nearly $80. You know what I'm saying? Which is interesting. I mean, I'm still curious on how WWE is going to coexist on ESPN. Is it going to go the same route as UFC, since UFC left to go to Paramount? Or are they going to continue how they do PLEs on ESPN like they were doing with Peacock? Because with your subscription to Peacock, it comes with all content for WWE. You get to watch the PLEs with no separate charge, unless you want to the ads. You know what I'm saying? But it's the first time. I mean, we've seen WWE go head to head with AEW before. You know what I'm saying? But for like normal programming, you know what I mean? Rather if it was we've seen it with Smackdown, when AEW had Rampage. We've seen it with NXT going up against Dynamite. You know what I mean? And there were times that they kicked the shit out of each other. This is the first time it's going to go head to head with PLEs / pay-per-views. You know what I'm saying? And if it's going to be a separate charge for Wrestlepalooza, you can't call them a PLE anymore. You got to call them a pay-per-view, because that's what they do. You know, that's what a pay-per-view is. Premium live event, which is PLE, comes with the premium streaming service. But AEW thought they can switch things up a little bit, because yes, they're going to be in Toronto, so that's going to be considered Eastern time, Atlantic time zone, Eastern time zone. Indianapolis, I think that might be Central, but AEW changed their time to 3 p.m. now. So they're going to start 5 hours ahead, 4 to 5 hours ahead of WWE Wrestlepalooza. And so far, they only got 4 matches apiece. All Out has 4 matches, which is great matches. You know what I'm saying? You got Hangman Adam Page and Kyle Fletcher. You got FTR versus Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got matches. But you got Wrestlepalooza that, you know, got what they got too. You know what I mean? I think they both are going to add. I think AEW might add about 3 more matches. They still got time. But let's see how that goes. Wrestlepalooza, I think they're going to add maybe 2. I don't know. Wrestlepalooza, they said they want this to be the next, because the premium events that are OG, it's Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. These are the major pay-per-views that are going to be guaranteed in the next 2 years in stadiums. Royal Rumble is going to be the first. Well, WrestleMania was the first. You know what I'm saying? And, WrestleMania is 2 nights in a stadium. SummerSlam followed with stadiums, and now they just started their first year with 2 nights. Survivor Series is going to be in a baseball park for San Diego this coming year. And I'm pretty sure that they're going to work something out where they're going to get into a stadium next year. Royal Rumble already started. They started in a ballpark, the Tampa ballpark last year, and now they're in a stadium this past year, at Lucas Oil Stadium for, the Colts. And they're going to be in a stadium next year. So, Wrestlepalooza is supposed to be one of those, number 5 maybe. Let's see where it goes, because it looks like it's going to be in an arena first. But let's see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? I want to see who... people want to say, oh, you're going to watch AEW more? You're first, or you're going to watch AEW or Wrestlepalooza? I believe this is what people are going to do, right? I believe this is what people are going to do. A or B, right? They're going to, A, watch AEW All Out pay-per-view, and then watch the replay of Wrestlepalooza. Or they're going to watch Wrestlepalooza and then watch the highlights of AEW All Out. It's a possibility for either one. You know what I'm saying? But it's kind of hard to convince someone who has HBO Max to pay a separate charge for AEW All Out. I think when AEW got into the streaming service finally, I think they're doing it weird. You know what I'm saying? I've bought AEW pay-per-views before, and this doesn't seem to be working. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, I don't think it's working. But hey, whatever works. You know what I'm saying? Some people say Tony Khan is a fucking... is not a creator in pro wrestling. He is a pro wrestling fan with money. Maybe some truth to that. Maybe not. Who knows? But I'm going to be tuning into both. Don't ask me how the fuck I'm going to do that. But before we get out of here, major announcement. WrestleMania 43 in 2027 is going to be live in Saudi Arabia. Who could have ever thought that was coming? Or assume. Who knows? But obviously, WrestleMania is going to be in Las Vegas again. WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas, which New Orleans dropped the ball on that one because they could have had it there. So WrestleMania 41 was in Vegas. WrestleMania 42 will be in Vegas. I will be there live. And WrestleMania 43 the following year will be in Saudi Arabia. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. But I'm your boy Eddie Jackson, so drop that podcast. You already know what to do. Subscribe to the page. Get them likes up. You already know what's up, motherfucker. Alright? Y'all be cool, alright? Be safe. Peace!